Alright, so good to have you guys. In today's video, I'm going to talk about lists. We're going to look at how we can create lists in Python and then how we can access items within a list. Alright, so as you guys know, programming is about, handling data, manipulating data, and dealing with that particular data. Alright, so what is a list? Okay, a list is just a collection of items. So you guys would recall when we started, we said we can use variable to store data, but then the variables that we're dealing with, we're just storing single items, right? So if you go back, we said perhaps I want to store my name. I could just name this variable name and then store my name, just like this. However, let's say I want to store a number of names. So now I have to use a different container. So that's where I need a list. So I could use a list to say names, right? So we use square brackets, and then in here we can then pass in the values. So Sadson is the first name, and let's say we have Paul, and then we have Eddie, and then we have Peter. Okay, so now, as you guys can see, instead of writing name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, I just have a container that can store that collection. So that's why a list is really important. All right, so how do I know this is a list? Okay, so I can actually call this function the type function in Python. And then I can pass in the name of the list, names. Okay, so run this, you'll see down here, it says it belongs to the class list, right? So this is a list. Okay, so one thing I want to mention about lists, they are a built-in data structure. So what that means is it's a container already made for us. We just have to know how to use it. Okay, we don't have to, think about how we're going to create this container and stuff like that. No, we just have to know how to use the container because it's already made for us. Okay, so we just need to know the methods to use, how to use it, when to use it. So that's the beauty of lists. They are built in. Okay, so some might ask, so are they the data structure that we can actually use? Yeah, you can create your own, like custom data structures. So those are user-defined data structures. You can actually make your own data structures. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to talk about how we can access these values inside the list. All right, so the way we do it in Python, we use what we call indexing. So indexing is just pointing to a particular item within that list. So the way you index things or items in a list is you have to use the name, print, and then use the name. The name of this list is called names, and then you put square brackets, and then here you can pass in a number. So the way indexing works is this is index 0, this is index 1, index 2, and index 3. So let's say I want to see an item on index 0. So I'm actually printing it, okay? I'm printing it. So I can save this and run this. And as you can see, it's certain. This is the first item. Second item, obviously, is number 1. So you should remember that the first item, when you are indexing, it's always a 0 item. Okay, so 0 item, first item, second item, and third item. So you can actually use that indexing. All right, so let's say I pass in an index that is non-existent because these items are only 4 and they can go up to index 3. So what if I pass in 5, index of 5? So save this and run this, you see this raise an error. So it says index error, list index out of range. Okay, so you need to remember the number of items that are within your list. Or let's say you don't remember, but you want to access the last item in that particular list, you can just use the -1. So run this, you see Peter here, okay? Is the last item. All right, so this is how you can play around with a list. All right, so let's go back to our questions. This is an emphasis, right? The first list item index is 0. You have to remember that. All right, so let's try and answer this question. What's the result of this quote? It's got nums. We have numbers here. This is a list because we see there are square brackets here, and then we have items here. Right, so print nums1. Nums1, obviously, indexing begins from 0. So 4 is index 1. So if I write 4 here, check it out, boom, that's the correct answer. All right, so in our next lesson, we're going to look at putting lists inside lists. Okay, so I want to thank you for your time. I'll see you in our next video. For now, I'm out. Bye-bye.